Hello again, YouTube. You guys are amazing, and today we're just doing something kind of new here. We're gonna be premiering past episodes, but this is a review of basically all Cuphead-related Scribblenauts Unlimited creations. I came out with 2 stage builder videos already, very recently, so there's been plenty of content to see there, but also in the background, I'm gonna be hard at work. As you guys know, if you saw the live stream last week, we'll be hard at work on the Draw My Life, but of course for me, it's Scribble My Life, and so I really want to deliver that to you guys, especially within like 2 or 3 weeks. But for now, please enjoy a nice premiere rerun of all of our Cuphead commentaries of old. And it all actually started 2 years ago, creating Cuphead and Mugman themselves. This was almost 3 years ago, actually, we should say. July 24th, 2016. Some people I remember were asking me, wait, he created this in 2016, but Cuphead came out later. It's because there was a bunch of news, and I think it was even at E3 or something that year, but a bunch of news dropped about Cuphead and Mugman before the game came out, and that's what you guys asked for. You know, I was always just creating whatever's most popular, most requested, so that fits, right? Alright, you guys, enjoy. Much love. Hello again, YouTube! This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm here with Scribblenauts Unlimited, the object editor commentaries. I'm wearing a crazy Cuphead head, and I've got this Cuphead hand gun that I've made custom for today's object editor creation. Of course, it should be obvious from the title and the description, as it always is in this series, but also by the intro right here. Starting off with Lucas ALIAGA as the source object for Cuphead, and we're also going to make his partner Mugman. And so then Anne is going to be for the legs. You notice that we took off the arms and the head. We shrunk down the legs so that you could keep the original legs on the creation. That's because the character will sink into the ground a little bit. In Scribblenauts Unlimited, it's basically a bug, just that if you remove the original legs from your original source object, then it will sink into the ground. Anyway, we've also got a 22nd page from the 29-page library. There's this arm right here. It's this kind of shape. It's a little bended arm. If you're in Scribblenauts Unmasked, whenever I use a 29-page library arm shape, in Scribblenauts Unmasked, you just need to type in any character that is basically has a solid back arm color, like a female hula dancer or Rima. These are just some examples. There are many. Anyway, Cotton is gonna be for the hand. I just liked this because I actually have seen some of the artwork for Cuphead and Mugman where their hands look like this when they're slightly balled up in fists, and I thought that that looked good. The Cotton is just sort of an interesting way to do hands. You know, I think the hands are usually one of those things in Scribblenauts Unlimited that you can really mess up the entire design of your creation if the hands are just awful, or it can be really awesome if you find some great hands. And so then the 22nd page of the 29-page library, that same arm shape, is not only for kind of that tip of the glove where it kind of meets with the wrist, but also on the ankles. It's also going to be kind of where the foot first goes into the shoe, right there, and Mango is going to be for the bulk of the shoe, right here, and Octopus is, we're going to use this like mostly straight octopus tentacle. It's to our left side. It's got a little bend on the end of it though, so I like that it curves up with the Mango a little bit like that. And the reason that we chose Anne, by the way, for the legs is that I did want some thin legs, but I didn't want it to be like the letter I or something like that. You know, I didn't want it to be octopus tentacle thin or anything close to that. But and I thought that was a good compromise. And we're putting on these hemisphere shapes for the shorts to kind of complete that for Cuphead right here. And if you guys didn't know, if you're new to the series, I mentioned basically I just create stuff in the object editor here, and I just make whatever is most popular or most requested by the most amount of different viewers each week. Next week is going to be a special episode though for Five Nights at Kendo, so I hope everybody's ready for that creation episode. But anyway, we're at the properties editor right now, so this is basically where I like to read background information and fun facts about whatever we're creating. So here we go. Cuphead is a run-and-gun platformer by Chad and Jared Moldenhauer, 2 Canadian brothers operating under a dev team named Studio MDHR. The game is drawn in the style of 1930s cartoons as players fight a series of bosses to repay a debt to the devil. Imagine the works of old-timey cartoons in a Metal Slug-esque game. It really is something special to see that kind of traditional cell animation hand-drawn and hand-inked, and with some original jazz recordings for the music. Anyway, news outlet Polygon has written that Cuphead was one of the 5 most interesting games revealed during Microsoft's 2014 E3 press conference. And it's also actually won the IGN Best Xbox One Game award. That was from E3 2015. Anyway, we'll start start off with the head as the source object, paint it white just in case any of it shows, but we're going to take the main body of a dramatic chipmunk and turn it upside down. That's going to be kind of for the bulk of the head for our Cuphead head. Cuphead head. Now this octopus tentacle that's this time to our right side is mostly straight, but it has just kind of a slight curve where it gets a little bit thinner there towards the tip or the bottom. And then a glow stick is going to be sort of for the opening. So that octopus tentacle is like the rim of the cup for the head, and then the glow stick again is where it's opened up, and we're going to put the straw in there in just a little bit. But there's letter C, which is what we're typing in right here, and making that be the handle. A golden egg painted all the way white is going to be for the main parts of the eyes, this big white part of the eyes, and yes. So if you ever are creating a head and a body separately in Scribblenauts Unlimited, the main reason you're probably doing that is because this game, of course, has a stamp limit. Stamps are basically anything like this seed that I'm just placing down right now, anything that you use to create your object overall, you know, so anything that you're typing in to make your overall object is a stamp. This is an arm shape from the 4th page of the 29-page library, painted black right there. A yarmulke is going to be for the tongue, but yes, to kind of avoid running out of stamp space and not being able to have all of the details, you can create the head separate from the body. You just want to pay attention to how I go into the properties editor for the scripting of the head right here. You'll see that in a little bit. We're using 2 hemispheres for both eyes. It's going to be the black part, this little like Pac-Man pupil that he has right there for Cupman, and it's turning out pretty well so far. We're not done, of course. This is a 10th page arm from the 29-page library of shapes. The 10th page arm is from a mutant, so you could also type in mutant and take that back arm. They are a little bit different in the 29-page library usually, but sometimes the difference is negligible. Anyway, from the 23rd page of the 29-page library, we're taking this arm shape. It's kind of near the top, and it's from a troglodyte. It's the back arm right there, and that's going to be for the tip of the straw, kind of where you would put your mouth. Then we're also going to make an oval be for the opening part right here. You are going to need to size it up and down because it's going to only have kind of a limited space that it can travel away from the head that we started with as the source object. So that's another thing about Scribblenauts Unlimited, is that you only have, you know, a certain range for moving your stamp pieces around. So for instance, when we started off with Lucas ALIAGA, or basically any kind of human, you know, you can often see kind of every moving joint, like the arms, the head, the body, and all that stuff. Well, each one of those little like moving joints has a grid that you can basically put down an object within. A safe zone, I guess you could say. But you can increase the object to be really big, get it outside of that safe zone, and then shrink it back down to be small again. Sort of a workaround. 20th page, bent arm from the 29-page library, is not only for the crease in the tongue, the little line right there, but also for the edge of the smile, kind of going down more closer to the nose. But here's the scripting or the properties editing that I wanted you to pay attention to for the head. You want to go down to the equipment tab on the left side, and the 3rd circle down says can be worn on the face like glasses, so fill that one in, and that will make sure that your head, you know, when we give the head to the body source object like this right now, we're giving it to our body, it will be kind of in the right spot. You're going to then need to go ahead and edit your torso or your body object and turn on the green grids. So this is what I was talking about before, you know, each little moving part of your character has a grid on it. You can see the grid right next to that plus sign on the left side. There's a button that's right next to that, to the left of it, that has Maxwell's head and some fruit and stuff. You can click on that to show the green grids, and so you'll just want to move the head grid piece either up or down, you know, depending on how your object looks. Like you can see my cup head, it looks pretty good. It looks like it's on the body in the right spot, but if it was like too low, for example, I would move the head grid higher, which is what I did actually just before I mentioned this and everything. So now it all looks good. We can go ahead and move on to Mugman. Mugman in essence is just a direct copy of Cuphead, except for we painted the shorts a little bit different, and I did some of the proportions just slightly different so that the characters wouldn't be an exact copy. I want them to be just like slightly distinguishable, but hardly. And so then again with the head, you can see that I got Mugman's head right here, but it's from our Cuphead head. And so I'm going to place an amber for the nose because Mugman sort of has this big honker. And so his schnoz is kind of more circular shaped like this, more oval. And we got rid of the mutant arm, but we're going to keep that troglodyte 29-page library arm. Go ahead and color it all white and move that oval down. His straw is a little bit more just this straight straw coming out. And we are going to go ahead and put some stripes on it with that mutant arm, you know, the same one that we threw away basically. It's from the 10th page of the 29-page library. You can go ahead and do 2 of them for 2 stripes, and it looks pretty good. So again, only minor movement movements with Mugman, you know, it was mostly the same as Cuphead. They are very similar. It's like if you took just some different coloring and a little bit different art, of course, with the straw in the nose. And I put down a big purple octopus. There is this like octopus villain in the game, and this one in Scribblenauts doesn't really look just like it or anything, but I thought it was kind of just a nice paying homage to it. And so it looks like I don't know if everybody noticed it when I was scripting the Cuphead, but their projectile is a capsule, and you can type in shape. You know, it's the capsule shape, so you don't want the capsule device. I mean, you could do it if you want, but I don't know that that would look so accurate. But anyway, I really liked doing this creation. One thing I really love about this series is that it kind of gets me into all these different universes that I may never explore without you guys requesting it. So, you know, it's like Cuphead and Mugman I did know about actually previously because my wife, Mrs. Kendo, some friends that she was in a theater show with knew about the game and were asking me if I knew about it, and I didn't at the time, so they kind of introduced me to that. I haven't actually played it yet. I don't know if I'll get to or not. Certainly not opposed. I think I really do like that kind of old style cartoonage, and it's really kind of a unique take on a run and gun shooter here, so good on them. And of course, I will catch you on the next vid, and thanks for viewing. So coming up next is the King Dice Cuphead episode right here, number 255, just based on the numbered series. This was actually done October 29th, 2017, and baby Kendo, my son, was born on October 12th, 2016. So can you imagine? This was so close in proximity to his birth. But what's interesting is, like, there were certainly comments that would say, you know, that you guys wanted to know, how do I find all the stamps? You know, you're like, how do you always find these things? Or do you have any advice for that? But then, you know, I guess it's because I put it in between like a Cuphead episode, but I actually answered that and showed off the advice for about 2 or 3 minutes of this video. But there were then, on this video's upload date, you know, there were people commenting saying, skip past the question here, 7:48, you know, putting a timestamp. And so it was like, well, I guess people just want to skip it. You know, like I tried to answer everybody's question, but again, I guess that's my fault because it was integrated into the King Dice episode, and because people from the outside were probably clicking on it for King Dice specifically. Anyway, this one's about 15 minutes. You guys enjoy. Hello again, everybody. This is Dr. Kendo, and I'm here with another Scribblenauts Unlimited object editor commentary. We're gonna go ahead and start off with a head coach as the source object. Of course, this series is just where I create your favorite characters in the Scribblenauts Unlimited object editor. That's a feature on the Wii U and PC versions of this game. The head coach, we do want the male head coach just for the voice. Most likely for that. You could probably still start off with the female and be okay. That was just why you saw that I actually did head coach twice. You know, we had to go back into it. So you can see that I've got this kind of color palette, strangely enough, right here that's mostly purple. What that signifies is that we're going to be creating King Dice from Cuphead. Of course, the Cuphead game. And so this is an interesting character. I'm really happy about it. So thank you guys for requesting that. And we got a ping pong ball right now for the buttons on the tuxedo right here. And there was a squid upper tentacle piece. So if you take this kind of tentacle that's near the squid's body after you type that in, the same thing works for the jellyfish. You guys have probably seen this. If you've seen most episodes of this series, you'll notice that I do use the jellyfish semi-often, and so the squid is the same kind of principles here. A mahi-mahi was like the fish that we used for the fin on the side of it that has that basically for the lapels, and those folds right there for his tucks. Cotton right now for the gloves we can actually use, but a pool girl, the back arm of that pool girl was the main part of the arms. And so we'll go with the cuttlefish coming up next. You want to take this arm piece, the tentacle piece that's at the very end at the top, all the way kind of on our left side. It's our left again. Now I'm only going to do 2 on the arm that's to our right. Of course, that's King Dice's left arm. And the only reason that I did 2 on that one and then 3 on the first arm that's kind of closer to us is just because it's kind of like the illusion of seeing this character not directly head on, but also not completely horizontal. You know, we're in sort of a quarter-turned view between those 2 planes of vision, I guess you could say. And so with that, that's why I only did 2 on one hand, and it also just gives us enough stamp space to do everything here that we want to do. So kidney bean was done actually 3 times for each shoe. That's because there's 2 for kind of the purple part of the shoe, but then there's that white part of the shoe right there that is where the laces go and all of that. So that's why we did that. A walrus body right now is in between. I guess we did it twice with a glue in between that for the bow tie. But notice we are already at the properties editor. That seemed like it came crazy fast, but this is just where I read background information and fun facts about whatever we create in this series, so let's go. King Dice is a man with a dice head who acts as the right-hand man of the devil character, of course from the game Cuphead. He's a tall humanoid guy with white gloves, purple shoes, and a purple tux with a purple bow tie. As an overconfident, sleazy, arrogant, and generally untrustworthy individual in the game, King Dice can be a sadistic and manipulative character. His design is also heavily influenced from and based on Cab Calloway, a big-time American jazz singer, and he even adds in the hidey-ho phrase if the player is defeated by Dice in his boss battle. That phrase was one that was commonly associated with Cab Calloway. Funny enough, despite that, his singing voice is a bit similar to Louis Armstrong. Hopefully you guys know who that is, of course. Thanks for requesting this character. We're actually going to move on, though, to something kind of new now, and that is question time. I'm just going to take about 4 minutes or less to answer a question or two that has come up before, but especially since last episode, and if you want to skip on through to the rest of the creation, just fast forward to the minutes and seconds spot noted by the text on screen now. So this is question time, basically just a little section for the video where we can break up some of the monotony and I can answer your questions. You guys asked some last episode, but also I had a question from SnakeJack04. This came from almost last year. I've got the question off to my side. It says, basically he was asking, I've been wondering what would be the best possible way to know every object in the game. But then last episode we did have a very similar question. It was from Aaron B. And he said, how do you plan out your creations and how do you find the right objects? So there are sort of 3 main points that I would say, but there's a lot of methods. So I will detail again 3 of them. The very first one we can just answer right here really quickly. Play through the story mode. Play through every part of the story that you can and look at every single piece, you know, so if you're on Wii U, tap with the stylus on every stamp you see around there. If you're on PC, of course, just click every single object that you see on the ground, that you see moving, that you see anywhere on the map, click it, and that should get you a decent repertoire to start off with of various stamps. Now, there are 2 other methods that I will detail right here, and one of them is pretty unique, I think, but basically the second one that's pretty simple and easy is you can Google certain things. You know, you can actually use internet websites and stuff as a resource, so certainly feel free to kind of look things up, and I would say partly with that and partly with the first answer is play the game and practice a lot. You know, it just takes a lot of time. You know, I'm at a stage kind of where I've been doing this for 5 years, and so I know what a lot of the stamps are going to end up looking like, and I know ultimately, okay, so if I want this type of shape, maybe it's a circle, maybe it's like a dot ovular type shape, or maybe it's something just completely different. I know what a lot of them look like just straight off the dome here. So, you know, it's like once you play and use the object editor a lot, you will start to get more familiar with it. So definitely if you've been doing it as much as I have, where you create multiple objects for 5 years, every single week straight, basically, you have enough experience, you know, where you start to learn a lot of these stamps just by heart, by memory. And so I will detail, though, the last little method that I use, that whenever I do the rare times that I get stumped, let's say, then I'll use this method. So check this out. If you're somebody that has kind of played through the game and taken the advice that I just said in these earlier segments for this question, there is one more thing that you can do. Whenever you're typing in stamps in this game, you can actually just type in gibberish, you know, so just press a whole bunch of buttons randomly. It could be like B, X, Y, R, W, Q, whatever, just like type a whole bunch of things randomly, and then if you're on the gamepad, of course, for Wii U, it'll give you the suggestions on there, but if you're on PC, on screen, you should basically see a screen that says, did you mean? And it suggests for you a bunch of different stamps that you could use. Now, again, this is kind of if you really just have no other direction, you're like, I really don't know what to do here. You can spend a long time doing this because obviously Scribblenauts Unlimited has the dictionary at its disposal, you know, so there's a ton of words in this game, obviously, as you guys know if you play it at all. So, you know, here you can type in like TTTFHNBV and you'll get a whole bunch of different results in the whole little did you mean, and then you just click on one of them and see what it looks like. So let's actually use that particular example as our example right now. So, you know, if I typed the little check mark right there after all those random just gibberish, you can see that, you know, there's a whole bunch of different things that it suggests for me to use. We can try whatever this Titanoba is. You can see that that came up with this snake-like creature right here. So do that again with any combination of letters right here and notice what happens. Hopefully you find some new stamps for your knowledge, and I hope that this small guide has helped you out a little bit. So let's get back on with the creation right now. So resuming the creation here, we do need to create the head. Of course, we're making the head and the body separately, and any time that you would do that is just because there is a stamp limitation in Scribblenauts Unlimited. So of course, you guys noticed we did create the body earlier on, and so we are creating the head right now. And as I mentioned, it being a separate object basically allows us to get a lot more detail that we wouldn't get otherwise. And so we're going to make a cube kind of be the main shape that covers over that head source object, and a hemisphere we'll take actually to paint all the way white, put it on both sides for the eyes, and we can go with a moon. There are kind of several stamps that you can get for this, but I like the moon as just one stamp that can sort of convey the design that we want for the eyebrows up at the top above those hemispheres. So that's looking good. A ping pong ball we'll go with once again. We used these earlier on the body, but now we're going to use it for the nose, basically right there. So just below that hemisphere eye shape. And we'll go with the dartfish, that dorsal fin at the top. We're actually going to do this several times, but notice that I put that kind of crackly pattern, the cracks right there, on the dartfish and kept it white. And the cracks is mainly to be that there are lines of teeth. It's basically showing that. And so that's why we did twice that dartfish fin, because that is, again, supposed to now be the mouth, his teeth smiling, basically. And so here's the jellyfish upper tentacle piece. Again, this looks just like a black line. We did it for the squid earlier that I was discussing all about that, you know, so this is the jellyfish version right here. The jellyfish is just a shorter, slightly thicker line, I would say, in this regard. And so the cuttlefish, that same end tentacle piece, the arm kind of tentacle, I guess, of the cuttlefish, it's that same one painted all the way black, can be combined with those jellyfish pieces for the mustache, while the hatchet fish, if you notice, there's like a triangular shape, I guess, fin for the hatchet fish down below its head. And so we've taken that, and it's twice in each eye, and if you basically flip them each next to each other and paint them all the way black, it looks really good for the eyes. I mean, he does kind of have that pie cut eye, similar to, like, you know, Bendy and the Ink Machine characters and stuff like that you've seen, you know, just sort of in the old style animation, which is obviously what Cuphead is all about. And so notice with this last piece right here on the top of the dice, it's we used yolk, basically the yolk of an egg, and made that to be for the little spots on the dice. And so here in the properties editor for the head object, just make sure you check off this third circle at the bottom half of the screen down there that says can be worn on the face like glasses. Second one from the bottom, of course. And so here we can now attach the head to the body, and so I'll show you how this works. Basically, because we scripted our head to go that way, it does actually lift up top, you know, it doesn't go into the hands, basically, of the object. So when we give that head piece to the body object, that's what happens. But notice that it is sort of floating a little bit higher than we want it to be, so we can just basically edit the body now and turn on these green grids, which is indicated by that button on the left side. It's actually in the top right corner of the left side panel of buttons and things, with Maxwell's head and wheel and fruit and all those icons on that button right there. And so those green grids, you can basically see that there was a head grid, and you can move that head grid up or down, left or right as you needed to. So we just needed to move it down a little bit. But, you know, I think that you guys were probably waiting for it. We need to put down, I think we should first do an adjective of big, because the king dice needs to be towering over my Cuphead creation, because yes, I have created Cuphead and Mugman in a past episode. This was long ago. This was like when the game was first announced, and it seems like it just took off enormously in popularity, you know, since then, of course, I would say, but it was like first announced way back when. And so I did an episode, it was probably just about a year ago, I guess, maybe even a little bit more now that I think about it. And so notice that, of course, King Dice against Cuphead right here. It's going to be crazy. King Dice, probably as he should be, has way more health than just Cuphead individually right now. And so with this battle, of course, he's shooting out cards, and that creates the playing cards and whatnot. So kind of a good little reference, I guess, to King Dice in the game Cuphead. But certainly it's not going to look exactly like the Cuphead graphics or anything like that, because this is Scribblenauts. So if we notice that Cuphead has actually been taken down all by himself, and I figured that would happen, so what I did actually want to do was make our Cuphead and Mugman creations together now, try to fight and take on the King Dice right here, our King Dice villain. And so, of course, one thing that actually helps me out, and I got this suggestion from a subscriber, he was actually saying, you know, if you want kind of the characters to fight either 2-on-2 or 2-on-1, you know, you can add the adjectives good and bad, so we have a good Cuphead and a good Mugman versus a bad King Dice right here. And Cuphead about to go down again, just on that last little sliver of health. You can see, oh, he's actually, King Dice changing his attention. Is he gonna go back? Yes, he is. He just does one more shot and Cuphead is down, his head sinking to the bottom like, you suck. So his head was all the way down there. I took it out of the water and he's knocked it down again, so the head is once more there like, you still suck. And so it's just sinking down to the bottom. We'll let it go that way. Anyway, we really should fast forward through all of this. It looks like this fight is gonna take a little while, but it's with Cuphead and Mugman together, they do actually stand much more of a chance, but it's coming down to the wire here. I mean, Mugman is our last guy left, and sometimes you can see that the projectiles actually shoot each other down, and so now Mugman goes down to the final, it's the final victory basically for King Dice right here, so our new creation. Of course, you can edit their HP and their damage a little bit how you want to, but just for this purpose, I guess with this episode, I should say, King Dice did win that battle right there. So anyway, of course, people that are familiar with my series do know that I have a baby son. My baby boy was born, and so baby Kendo we've shown off and whatnot. I'll try to get some pictures or video pretty often to you guys. He basically has been doing very well. Just to give you an update on that real fast, he actually had a photo shoot. Me and Mrs. Kendo took him to a little photo shoot in our mall, and so that was pretty nice. And so hopefully I can show you guys the results of that one day. But anyway, yeah, baby Kendo doing really well, so thank you for asking. He's actually put on the good amount of weight that we wanted him to, because he was losing weight for a while, which is kind of normal for babies after they're first born and stuff, and then he gained that weight back, which is good. You know, that means he's healthy. He's feeding well. So baby Kendo just absolutely an angel, letting us actually get sleep. So, you know, many thanks to baby Kendo. I can actually get this work done too. But yes, I think next episode we are going to reach in the back pocket of some episodes I had done before, so feel free to leave your comments and everything, but I'm going to be tallying the most popular, most requested objects over the next 2 weeks rather than just coming up this week, because this week I will have a pre-recorded episode for you guys, and we're going to be going into a series that we've never done before, and it's also going to be combined with a series that we have done before, just one time before, so mostly new stuff in Scribblenauts Unlimited. So I'll go ahead and just sign off with the usual, and I will catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing. So this time we're now actually going to be looking at the Team Cuphead versus Team Batim or Bendy. It's really just Cuphead and Mugman versus Bendy and Boris, and that's in honor of Cuphead's release. This was actually October 6th, 2017 that we uploaded that, so just before my baby Kendo was born, which was October 12th, 2017. This video was awesome. I mean, it was like 7 minutes long, but 312,000 views at the time that I'm recording this right now. I don't think there's too much else to say, so we should just get right into it. As a reminder for those who showed up late, this is a premiere if you're watching it live, but of course it'll go as a video on the channel, and we're straight up just doing this like a rerun and a compilation of all of our Cuphead related creations or episodes in this Scribblenauts Unlimited series, so I want to thank you guys for that. Let's check this out. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Scribble Battle episode, where we'll pit two individual teams of creations from my Scribblenauts creation series against each other in combat, just as I had previously made them. Today's epic matchup will be between Team Cuphead versus Team Batim, or Bendy and the Ink Machine, two teams of characters inspired by and or drawn in the styles of 1920s and 30s cartoons. Team Cuphead will of course consist of Cuphead and Mugman. Team Batim, Bendy and the Ink Machine, while it could comprise of many characters, will only consist of Bendy and Boris, so that we can keep this 2-on-2. We've applied a still adjective to all opponents here on the level, ready for battle, in which we will also then apply a hostile adjective and then proceed to remove the still adjective, hopefully being sure that nobody gets an advantage by being unfrozen first. So round one will be an all-out free-for-all, and we'll try to zoom into some individual skirmishes afterwards. So let's get to it! Round one. Alright, so you probably see how they are set up on the field. It looks like it's going to be Cuphead going up against Bendy and Mugman going up against Boris. So right here, it looks like the battle has started off. There was a little bit of confusion, but I think we've got it all set up. And so Bendy and Cuphead are actually both going to be ranged characters. But you notice over there with Boris going against Mugman, it is a melee character, and Boris going up against Mugman, of course. And now there is no confirmation that Bendy actually does shoot out ink in any of the Bendy and the Ink Machine game so far. There is 3 chapters of it at this time that this was uploaded at least, and so right now that's just kind of based on my Scribblenauts creation and what we've given to the little dancing devil right there. And so far it actually does look like, yep, I'm seeing Boris down to his last heart, so it looks like Mugman is going to take it. Boris is going to be defeated right there, and we'll go ahead and get the instant replay on that one. And if anybody is curious, the heads do fall off in this game because of the way that they are scripted and created in this game. That head is basically like glasses. It's as if the character was wearing sunglasses or something and they fell off. And so now all that we're left with is Cuphead versus Bendy. Notice that, of course, earlier on when they were fighting, they were very spread apart and everything, both being ranged characters, but it does look like Bendy is actually, and it's crazy because now he's punching a wall in his anger, but Bendy actually came out on top of that one, taking down Cuphead. And so next for round 2, we are going to take away the whole free-for-all thing and just kind of have it set on specific individual battles right here. So we've got, of course, Bendy and Cuphead up on the field with an invisible little wall in between them, just so they don't start attacking each other or anything like that out of turn. But we'll see what kind of happens when we place these two together, just in an individual match, one-on-one.
Round 2. Fight!
So Cuphead, you'll see, does shoot out a little blue kind of capsule shape. It's actually, that is what it's called in Scribblenauts Unlimited. When we created Cuphead, that was all detailed out, and it does look like the same result is going to happen from what we saw before in the free-for-all matchup. Bendy now has Cuphead down to that last heart, and so just a few more hits with those ink splatters. Bam! There it is. Bendy has come out victorious, so you'll notice on the instant replay right there, Cuphead goes down, meeting an inky demise. So for the next part of round 2, let's go ahead and get Boris in here. We do have the wall set up this time. I know that it's gonna be a variable, I would say, just because Boris is a melee character, and usually melee versus range in Scribblenauts Unlimited does result in the melee character losing. As you can see, Mugman keeping him completely at bay, and Boris is unable to get an attack up in here. Boris down to that last little heart, and it does look like, yes, this is no surprise, Mugman comes out victorious against Boris, and it's just the way the cookie crumbles in Scribblenauts Unlimited. Again, this game doesn't completely allow for a melee character to easily get in there to attack a ranged character. We're doing everything we can to get a fair fight going here, although I would say even if these characters were battling in their respective universes, you know, each one is going to have advantages and disadvantages, just like any fight should be between video game characters, especially, again, from different universes and different franchises. So for round 3, we are actually going to take the champions, the winners of basically both rounds, both fights and skirmishes here, which would mean that Bendy is going to go up against Mugman. So Mugman being our champion for defeating Boris and Bendy being our champion for defeating Cuphead. We'll put them together, so there it is. Round 3 is going to start. We do have our little Bendy clock creation up on the wall just for kicks, as they are now in this final battle, and Bendy is going up against Mugman. So let's see what happens. Bendy shooting out that ink, Mugman shooting out the little capsule, and we'll speed it up just a little bit, but focus in on each one so you can see what their attack animations look like. Of course, half of the attacks that do happen between two ranged characters like this, unless we put up the walls on either side, they would stretch out further and further and further, pushing each other back, and we would have to just zoom out super far. You wouldn't be able to see a lot of the action for one, but also most of their projectiles would actually end up hitting each other. But it does look like it's coming very just close down to the wire, and Mugman is looking like he's gonna go down, so that means Bendy and the Ink Machine, their team is gonna win this round, with Bendy being victorious. And so there's Mugman's head right there as a prize for Bendy. So looking back to review what happened in today's fights, in round 1 it was 1 point for the Cuphead team as Mugman took Boris down, but then 1 point added for Bendy's team when the Dancing Devil brought down Cuphead. In round 2 we saw the same results for the same individual fights, meaning that a point was added for each team, and they were at a deadlock tie moving on into the next round. That would be, of course, round 3, where we put the champions against each other and had Bendy fighting Mugman, which ultimately wound up with the Bendy team, earning another point for Mugman's defeat. Ultimately, these are Scribblenauts battles, not actual battles in their respective universes of each games, as I said, so that is kind of first of note, where there would be differing variables otherwise, but also this video is not a statement about which franchise is better than the other or more awesome or whatever, but just based on the fighting displayed here, it turns out that Team Bendy and the Ink Machine came out on top of the whole thing. Now, all of these characters were created on my channel in my usual Scribblenauts creation series, uploaded every Sunday, so just real quick, we'll give out the episode numbers here for each of the characters. Our Cuphead and Mugman creations were made in episode 181 back in 2016, and our Bendy creations were made in two separate episodes, with Bendy being in 218 and Boris being created in episode 227. So if you take a look at any of the creations made in this series, again uploaded every Sunday, that I have on my channel, feel free to vote and suggest for which individuals or teams of characters should go up against each other for a future battle. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next vid. And thanks for viewing. Maybe somewhat of a stretch this time, but it does feature Cuphead in it. We're gonna have the Team Platform versus Team Horror episode be our last one that we're compiling here, because it does, again, it has Cuphead battling in here as part of Team Platform. This was uploaded on, I guess, New Year's Eve, right? December 31st, 2017. A good 2 months after Baby Kendo was born, and the video did really well. We still got the usual, like, really cringy comments, I guess, that come from these battle series, and that was why I sort of slowed down with the battle series a bit. People just get like way too intense sometimes. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoy this. Check it out! Hello again, everybody! And welcome to another Scribble Battle episode, where we'll pit two individual teams of creations from my Scribblenauts creation series against each other in combat, just as I had previously made them. Today's epic matchup will be between Team Platform versus Team Horror. Two teams of characters whose game genres are mostly different, but of course vary game to game. Team Platform, while it could comprise of many various characters, will consist of Mario, Cuphead, and Crash Bandicoot, all from games of the same title. Team Horror will consist of Bendy from Bendy and the Ink Machine, Twisted Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's, the Twisted Ones, and the Neighbor from Hello Neighbor. We first applied a still adjective to all opponents here on the level, ready for battle, in which we will then also apply a hostile adjective and proceed to remove the still adjective, hopefully being sure that nobody gets an advantage by being unfrozen first. We'll be starting off with an all-out free-for-all and then try to zoom into some individual skirmishes. So let's do it! Let's see what happens! We're gonna go ahead and remove that still adjective now, make sure that everybody has brave or fearless for their adjective. They won't run away from battle or anything.
Round 1.
All of the hostile adjectives are now included where needed to be, and it looks like Cuphead already goes down. Twisted Foxy coming out with a huge, quick victory for Team Horror in this first exhibition match set with all of the characters on the screen, and we do have walls to divide, of course, because presumably Twisted Foxy would then start maybe hitting Bendy or somebody that's on his own team. When you've got this many characters on the map, those kind of crazy things happen, so we just went ahead and sectioned out these characters, and it looks like Mario is now down. Team Horror now has 2 victories under their belts, and it looks like Crash Bandicoot actually does have a little bit more life than the Neighbor, so maybe could turn things around for Team Platform here. We'll see what happens in this crazy Scribblenauts battle. They're both down to their last inch of health, and it looks like Crash Bandicoot is actually going to be the winner right there. So that makes this 2 Horror victories and 1 Platform victory. Was pretty good, but I think we'll go ahead into round 2 really quick and show you individual matchups, with this first little scuffle being between Bendy and Mario.
Round 2. Fight!
So it looks like Mario has the brave adjective, Bendy with the fearless adjective, and when we make Mario hostile, it does look like the fight has started, of course, and Mario is scripted to, man, there he goes with an early fireball like that. Just occasionally he'll shoot out that fireball. Figured it would be fair enough if Bendy is shooting ink from a ranged attack. Of course, that is not really confirmed from a Bendy and the Ink Machine game up till this point, and when this is being recorded, only Chapter 3 has come out for Bendy and the Ink Machine games right now, now, and again, we haven't seen the normal little Bendy like this shoot out ink as a ranged attack, but it looks like boom! Bendy gonna be bringing an inky demise to Mario, and yes, just in case anybody's gonna yell at me and say that this is unfair for Mario or anything like that, although you're probably gonna say it's about Bendy, this is how much damage the flame does for Bendy being on fire. It's kind of insignificant for the most part, and it's just how the cookie crumbles. Plus, this is Scribblenauts, you guys. It's not their universes. Alright, so we got the next battle coming up. It's gonna be Cuphead versus Twisted Foxy. Of course, Twisted Foxy with a lot of health and a lot of damage, being from the Twisted Ones. It seems pretty fitting. Cuphead, though, is a ranged character and keeping Twisted Foxy at bay, it looks like, actually the entire time. It doesn't look like Twisted Foxy can even get one hit off right now, and is already at half health. We'll see what happens as Cuphead keeps on continuing to shoot those capsules. For those who don't know, Scribblenauts Unlimited, it is based on kind of just being within the confines of this game, what you can set their projectiles to, and that's gonna do it. Cuphead is actually gonna come out victorious. We will see what happens, though. Of course, being a ranged character versus a melee character, and I'm not talking about like Mario from before, who had a ranged attack that occasionally came out. We are gonna even up the field just a little bit and see what happens in the match. This is just creating some new variables for the battle to see what's gonna happen. So we'll make their playing field a little bit smaller by moving these walls closer in and intervening maybe just lightly, just very, very slightly. And so this actually looks like Twisted Foxy can now get some hits in, and then that's gonna do it. It looks like he took down Cuphead that time. So maybe for a tiebreaker, we'll have them both go at it again, but sort of as a maybe compromise between the two systems that we were using to have them fight before. We'll have the walls a little bit further out, but still closer in than that first time that they were battling. And again, we'll do a little bit of just a light intervening into this matchup to see if anything's gonna happen, but nope, it looks like Cuphead is gonna take down that Twisted Foxy creation right there. So 2 out of 3 times, Cuphead did succeed. So to put the last pairing of characters in here, we're gonna have Crash Bandicoot and the neighbor from Hello Neighbor. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on, we're gonna have them two battle it out, and it's gonna be crazy. The neighbor does have a script where occasionally it will throw out a red cup, or he'll also use a projectile of a bear trap. These don't really seem to be doing much damage, if any at all. Crash Bandicoot, of course, scripted with a lot of speed. He can also jump super high. I don't know that that's gonna really help him in this battle or anything like that. We might as well speed this up a little bit because these two melee characters are very, very closely matched right now, doing just about the same amount of damage, just about the same kind of life. They're a good pairing, I would say, for an equal fight right here. And it looks like we're getting down to the last heart for both characters. I think the neighbor slightly below. Yes, we can confirm that. Both grunting like crazy for this battle here, and it looks like the neighbor is probably gonna go down. Yep, that's the last heart. The neighbor falls. Crash Bandicoot will live to fight another day. Speaking of fight another day, we'll jump quickly into the last round here, which is going to be the champions battling each other. So this basically is whoever has the most wins from each team and the fewest losses, I guess we'll say, because Twisted Foxy was kind of a winner for the horror team, except for that round 2 where he was going up against Cuphead. So instead, we've got Bendy right now for Team Horror against Crash Bandicoot from Team Platform. I realize that Cuphead, it's not the traditional platformer comparatively to Crash Bandicoot or Super Mario games and whatnot, but Cuphead does kind of fit pretty well into the team right here, and at least slightly into that genre. And so as we're seeing these two contenders battle it out right here, I do just want to remind everybody, this being Scribblenauts Unlimited means that obviously this is not the universes that these games come from. I'm going to ask that you guys analyze them in the comments section without telling me to kill myself or anything really foolish and downright horrible like that, because that's kind of what I've gotten on some of these other videos when you don't like the results. These videos are just meant for fun and entertainment, and for you guys to see some characters fighting in a game called Scribblenauts right here. This is Scribblenauts Unlimited. And on that sour note, it looks like we're actually down to that last little heart. Bendy is gonna survive. Yes, he does. Crash Bandicoot goes down, the head on the ground like that. Brutal and savage. That's gonna do it. So I'm gonna tell you guys, instead of picking a winner myself, because again, I have done some episodes before this one, and so we're gonna show some review clips on screen of what happened in this Scribblenauts battle, but what we're gonna do differently than ever before is we're gonna have you vote on who's gonna win. So I need everybody right now to sound off in the comments section. Cast your vote for Team Platform with Mario, Cuphead, and Crash Bandicoot, or if you don't think that they would win against Team Horror, then vote for them, which is Bendy, Twisted Foxy, and the neighbor. Cast your vote for who you think would win, and if you want to try to sway others to your cause, convince them using whatever logic you feel is necessary. Just don't attack me personally. Again, this is Scribblenauts Unlimited, not the game universes that these characters come from. I create these characters in a Scribblenauts creation series. Obviously, if this was in each of their respective universes of each of the games, there would be differing variables otherwise, and this video is not a statement about which franchise is better than all the others, or more awesome, or just whatever. After you guys vote, I will release a video in about a week or two, and I will tell everybody the results based on your votes for which team you think would win. Majority rules here. It's up to you guys. So just one last thing of note, of course, all of these characters were created on my channel in my usual Scribblenauts creation series uploaded every Sunday. So just real quick, we'll go ahead and give out the episode numbers here for each of the characters that appeared here. To start off with, the Mario creation hasn't been featured in an episode, but most closely fits the design of Builder or Maker Mario from Super Mario Maker in the Scribblenauts creation episode 133. Our Cuphead and Mugman creations were created in episode 181 back in 2016. Crash Bandicoot was a remake creation made in episode 251. For the other team, the Twisted Foxy creation was in Scribblenauts episode 254. Our Bendy creation was made in episode 218, and the Neighbor from Hello Neighbor was made in episode 211. Don't forget to vote for who you think would win down in the comments section. Don't hate on me for what happened in these battles, and we'll come out with a results video in about a week or two. Subscribe if you haven't, hit that bell, and I will catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that's gonna do it for this. If you did watch this as a premiere, thank you so much for being here. But of course, this will be a video on the channel. Give it a like, why not? Subscribe. And next week may have some surprises in store, but probably another kind of compilation type Scribblenauts thing, because we'll be working on the Scribble My Life, Draw My Life special. So I will catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.